starting now. And the plan is to go for about an hour. And Dicken's going to speak for a little bit and do some interaction. And as people are still coming in, I'm going to wait another minute to do the introduction.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I love these parties. 3PGC throws the best parties. I love this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're okay, Dicken, I'll start the introduction. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Let's get going.
Right. Well, welcome everyone to the Three Principles Global Community Webinar. The Three Principles Global Community, or 3PGC, is a nonprofit organization that is committed to bringing an understanding of the three principles as introduced by Sydney Banks to people throughout the world. And today we're so happy to have our friend Dr. Dicken Bettinger back. There's so much we can say about Dicken. He has a doctorate in counseling psychology, and he's worked his whole career as a psychologist. In 1986, he met Sydney Banks, who shared a profound new understanding of the human mind called the three principles that unifies our connection to a deeper intelligence called wisdom and our psychological nature. He's been teaching the three principles since. He does a lot of things. He has a private practice. He mentors people. He does retreats and events all over the world. He was telling me about one of them just before we came on. Also, the co-author of a wonderful book called Coming Home, Uncovering the Foundations of Psychological Well-Being that he wrote with Natasha Swerdloff. And he's also on the 3PGC board. So with that, Dicken, I will turn it over to you.
Next time. I really appreciate your coming. I don't know anything that's more fun than learning about the beauty that we have within us. I don't know anything that's because the more deeply we see that beauty, the more we see it in others. The more deeply we see that beauty, the more we live in well-being, feelings of well-being. The more deeply we see that beauty, the more we allow our minds naturally to settle, not by trying to quiet our minds. Trying is always thinking that creates stress. I watch my little grandkids. They do not try and be present. They do not try to get over their upset. They just get over it quickly. So I want to see if I can't. Sydney Banks talked a lot about levels of consciousness, and a lot of times I notice people don't talk a lot about levels of consciousness anymore. We just talk about thought and different things. I want to, levels of consciousness can be a very useful metaphor that when I started having insight into levels, I had more compassion for myself when I dropped to a lower level. And I started having more compassion for other people who get caught up in a lower level and act on it. So I want to see if I can get this really simple and ordinary. It's always simpler than we think. It's always simpler than we think. How we work as human beings is actually extremely simple. Concepts complicate. So the more we think about ourselves and people, concepts can create all kinds of polarities and opposites and difficulties and challenges and problems. And let's see if we can uncomplicate this. Let's see if we can. Sid would often say, Sydney Banks, who realized these three principles, often said, you want to look for simplicity. You want to look for simplicity. Let's just start with what it means to be present. Being present is not something we can do. It's something that happens naturally when we're not trying, when we're not searching for something, when we're not trying to figure out something, we're not analyzing. So it's hard to talk about what being present is. Is really the absence of thinking that creates some kind of trying or searching. And how often when people don't feel good is they try to feel better. They're they're waiting until they feel good. They're looking ahead to an imagined better future. Oh, I feel horrible now, but I could feel good later. So I gotta wait and I gotta try and do something to. Oh, so tiring. I spent a good part of my life trying to improve my well-being. So along comes Sydney Banks and he goes, it's the first person I heard say this. I'd been a psychologist 10 years and Sid goes, you already have perfect well-being. When we're present, we live in well-being. You're a thought away from being present at any moment. So he said, you're a thought away from everything you're looking for. Okay, that about wraps it up. Isn't it interesting? The more education I got, instead of becoming more present, I did more and more thinking. Isn't it interesting that when most adults feel tension, stress, or upset, you know what they do? More thinking. Do you know there is not a human being in the world that can think their way into well-being, into being present? And isn't it interesting when we're present, our well-being reveals itself to us. We don't do anything, it just starts showing up. The present moment is not in time. Time is created by our concepts. Present moment, we're not holding on to any concepts, we're just present. If I followed you around today, I could point out times all during the day when you're present. Even if you think your life is full of anxiety or depression or upset, I would show you times when you were present because it's so ordinary, it's natural. A moment of not trying, of not doing, of not imagining something in the future that's better or thinking about something that's already happened. It's just here. Most ordinary thing in the world. That's why I loved holding my kids and grandkids as babies. I get to see what presence looks like before people start using their conceptual mind. Just hanging out. All kinds of thoughts and feelings flow through, but there's no judgment, no concern, no story, just presence. It's our natural state. Just consider for a moment that's our natural state. Or you could say it's our default setting when we stop trying and doing and thinking so hard about life. Presence is our natural state. It's what we come back to. Nothing to do to earn it. I've worked with people who are in psychiatric institutions. When they're present, they didn't have to do anything to earn that. I've worked with people in prisons. I've talked with people in war zones all over the world. When people are present, they don't have to do anything to earn it. It's our default setting. It's our natural state. It's what we come back to when we stop trying. I can remember I was in Alaska working with a company, and I walked into a gift shop before the training started, the day before the training, and they had a lot of snow globes. And I picked it up and I love snow globes. I have a collection. And I'm shaking this snow globe. And all of a sudden I think, oh, that looks like my mind when I'm caught up in my thinking. I can't see very clearly. It's all clouded. And then I set the snow globe down and didn't have to do anything. Nothing to do to quiet down. We're built to settle out. Can't do it. If you try to quiet your mind or try and be present, you're shaking the snow globe. So I bought a snow globe and took it into the training. This was 30 years ago. Took it into a training. And I'm talking to them about how our minds work and how natural it is to be present, which is characterized by clarity, openness, allowing, settling, quieting. It's our natural state. And then we can get thinking in a way that stirs it up. My wife says she saw the simplicity of this early on. She said, I don't understand what Sid is talking about, but what I do get is that at times I'm present and I enjoy life and I see beauty and I go through my ups and downs gracefully. And then I get caught up in my thinking. You can't think and be present at the same time. Thinking keeps shaking the jar. I talked to the company the next week when I got home, and they said they have a snow globe in the room, and they use that metaphor all the time. They say, one of them will say, I think we're getting into blizzard mind. And they'd all see how they were really caught up in thinking. And as Sid say, if you really see that the only problem is we get caught up in thinking in a way that creates some kind of tension, it will naturally bring you back to the present moment gently. If you hold on to something too hot, If I gave something too hot to a person to hold on to and it's burning their hand, never would that person ask me for how do I let go? What are the techniques for being present? They would just simply let go. When I started seeing I only have one problem and that all of my clients only have one problem, they drop into a low mood and they grab onto the thinking and they start holding on to that thinking, think it's true, keep thinking about it. So Sid comes along and says there's only one psychological problem for any human being on this planet. They leave the present moment, grab onto thinking and hold on to it and think it's true. Then they act on it. And at some point, they think that's who I am. I'm an anxious person. I'm a depressed person. I'm an upset person. That's who I am. You say, no, that's just what you're holding on to. When you let go of it, you come back to your natural state. That's who you truly are. That's what's always here underneath our thinking. How simple can this be? We're present. When we're present, our thinking naturally quiets down. Naturally. Watch little kids. They don't try and quiet down, they just get present. They get over their upset very quickly. I love hanging out. I've told you this before with my little 5-year-old. Oh, she just turned 6. I said to her, oh, you can't do this anymore. You have to do this. So for the next, every time I saw her, she'd practice. I'm 6. So cute. Watching her get upset at 6 and how quickly she becomes present. She doesn't analyze, doesn't try and figure out. We're present, as my wife says, so simple, Dicken. We're present, we're caught up. Only when we're caught up do we lose our well being. When you're present, you can feel shitty, but it's flowing through you and it's not a problem. You're not thinking about it, you're not judging it. And there's an ease about going through. Sid would say, understanding these principles of thought, consciousness, and mind is not about being high all the time. It's about having an understanding that allows you to be grateful when you're clear and feeling good and go through your down times gracefully with grace, where wisdom does all the hard work for you. Wisdom quiets your thinking down. I don't do it. When I'm present, I don't quiet my mind down. Let's say you and I walk into a room full of people and we just look to see the degree to which people were relaxed and present and just open to their well-being and the degree to which people were caught up in their thinking. That's all you're paying attention to. You'll see how innocently people get caught up in their thinking and they don't realize it. Because if you ask people who are caught up in their thinking, what's the problem? I guarantee they'll point towards something in their life that they think is the problem. Innocently. I did that. I was a psychologist 10 years. I was still saying situations cause me stress because that's what I was taught. So if you saw me caught up in stressful thinking at a party and asked me, why are you so stressed? And I'd say, because I have this deadline, because of what this person said to me yesterday, because of My friend is sick because something, innocently. Now, we can talk about, Sid talked about going up and down levels. It's just a metaphor for how our thinking changes. And at times we're present and at times we're caught up. We're going up and down levels. Everybody does. If you followed me around for a day, it'd be obvious to when I get caught up in some thinking that's not very helpful. It'd be obvious. And I do. But more and more, when I'm caught up in thinking that's not helpful, there's a feeling to it that's not pleasant. And that feeling reminds me of how the mind works. I'm either caught up or I'm present. If I realize that being caught up is maintaining my stress, continuing to shake the jar, without trying, I let go. Just like if I hold something too hot, I let go. No effort. If I put my hand on a hot stove, as soon as I realize that's where the pain is coming from, holding on to negative thought, boom, take my hand off the stove. No technique. No technique. It's a realization. Oh, that's where my pain is coming from. So I keep coming back to simplicity. I go for a walk and I'm surrounded by forests, trees, beautiful here in the Pacific Northwest. Oh, just I can go anywhere and there's trails in the woods. So when my friends come to visit, we often go hiking in the woods. And just keep it simple. We're either present or we're caught up in our thinking. If you're thinking about anything while you walk through the woods, you don't see beauty. Sometimes with friends, I have to say, why don't we just stop talking for a while? And then they become more present and then they go, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I used to do so much thinking before I met Sid Banks. I didn't see much beauty. And I live with a wife. My wife is an artist. And she has learned that when she is fully present, she sees beauty everywhere. And as an artist, that's a plus. That's a plus. I have been walking through the woods, and when my mind is fully present without trying at a certain point, beauty just blows me away. The way the light comes through the pine trees can bring tears to my eyes. It's so beautiful. If I'm caught up in my thinking, I don't see it. I worked with a woman who is depressed, and she began to just see the simplicity of she's either present or caught up. And more during the day, she would gently come back to the present moment and go about her day. And all of a sudden, she came in one day to a session and with tears coming down her face saying, it's so beautiful out there, Dicken. It's so beautiful. I haven't even seen color for years. And now there's beautiful colors everywhere. There's many ways of talking about how we go up, which just is a metaphor for coming out of our thinking and being present. And when people are present, two things happen. They feel better for no reason. It's called being resilient. You feel better. And then you have more common sense to know, oh, I know what to do, no matter what the problem. You have more common sense. Feel better, you have more common sense. Why is that? Because we're connected to the intelligence of the universe. And as our minds quiet down, we get new and fresh input from wisdom, new and fresh thinking. We become more intuitive. You just know what to do. It's actually very ordinary. If you're driving a car and you're too caught up in your thinking, you're going to start having accidents. It's not going to be pretty. So if you get in the car and you become more present while you drive, you're making life and death decisions without thinking about it. That's the power of common sense and wisdom. I've seen people and I have I've been in terribly difficult situations, whether they're being in a war zone or being in a confrontational situation in a business or being with friends who are upset or family. And in presence, I just knew what to do that was right. It just feels right. When I'm caught up in my thinking, I don't know, that doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Innocently. I was talking to a client this morning. She had a company fix something at her house and sent her an exorbitant bill. It was such a high bill. And they hadn't told her. She thought they were coming to fix it as like on warranty, and they sent her this huge bill. And for a week, she's been upset thinking about it. Remember, it's the simplicity of how the mind works is we're present or we're caught up. And when we're caught up, we don't get over our upset. When we're present, we get over upset. It's called being resilient. We're built to be resilient. I said to her, I know what you're going through because I've done that many times. I get upset and I keep trying to figure out what to do, how to deal with it, what to say. And I'm trying to find common sense while I'm upset thinking about it. And you can't. You can't. I've worked with some extremely high IQ people who try to figure out answers to problems when they're upset, and they don't have any better luck than anybody. It's not personal. It's just how our minds work. This is why they say in a crisis situation, stay calm. What they really mean is stay present. Don't be thinking about it and what to do and how to deal with it. Just come back to the now. Stay calm, and you're better able to deal with any situation, no matter how, even life and death situations. Wisdom is always available to us via common sense, just knowing, oh, I know what to do. I can't tell you how many people have said, this problem is possible. I don't know what to do. And when they quiet down, they go, well, I guess this makes sense. It's built into you. Sid would say the answers are inside of you already. We just need to uncover them. Our well being is inside of us already. We just need to uncover it. So we all have perfect well being, but when we're caught up in thought, we cover up that well being. It seems like we don't have it. And then we try to use our intellect to think our way out of it. One other thing I want to say about this. It's normal to go up and down levels. I don't know anybody who doesn't. Even Sid Banks did. The more you understand how the mind works, the more when you feel any kind of tension, stress, or upset, it no longer is a statement about your life. It's letting you know you're caught up in thought in a way that's not helping you. Period. Thank God we feel stress. Thank God we feel anxious, upset. It's letting us know we're caught up in thought. It's time to realize we're caught up. And when we realize that's our only problem, without technique, without effort, it brings us back to the present moment. The snow in the globe settles down. We come back to calm, come back to clarity at some point, and then our common sense kicks in for free. Oh, I know. It's a knowing. It's not of the intellect. It's a knowing, not of the intellect. It comes to us in the moment. Oh, I know what to do. My son was diagnosed with ADD. He struggled in high school because his learning style was not one that was accommodated by sitting quietly in a classroom and memorizing information. So he struggled. And when he was 17, for the first time, he came to a workshop, and I was one of the teachers in the workshop. It was his first, I mean, he had heard me talk about the principles with him and my wife, and, just living around us, he picked up quite a bit. But he's still characteristic. His mind was very speedy, and he would then make impulsive decisions, which were not always very good. He comes to the workshop, 4 days, group and individual. I'm dying to find out how it's going for him, but I wanted to respect his process. So I didn't once ask him during the 4 days. He was so cute, he'd sit there in the class and be really quiet. And when we would have a break, he'd run up to me and say, "Good job, Dad. That was really good." He'd never seen me teach before. At the end of the 4 days, we go for a drive in the car, and I say, "Ben, do you mind my asking, how did you like the workshop?" He said, "Dad, it was great. I really liked it. I'm so glad I came." I said, "I'm dying to know, can you tell me what you heard that was helpful?" And he said, "Yes, it was really simple, Dad. I now know the feeling I need to be in to make good decisions. It's not speedy and hyper and yeah, it's the feeling of presence, the feeling of a quiet mind. When I'm there, I make great decisions, Dad." Every major decision he made after that was a good decision. He now owns 7 restaurants, has a family, is a fabulous father, has 2 young kids. He has tons of friends and hobbies, and It got simple for him. It can get simple for anybody. If you think about the principles, it'll get really friggin' complicated. If you just see we're thinkers, and at times we use our minds when we're present, thoughts come to us freely. They uplift and guide us. When we're thinking, it can be helpful if you're processing information or looking for information or retrieving memories that are pleasant and fun. But as someone like Eckhart Tolle says, 90% of the thinking we do is not only unnecessary, it's not helpful. There's a deeper kind of thought. When we're present, we don't stop thinking. We receive intuitive knowing. We receive feelings of well-being that can guide us through life beautifully. So the last thing I'll say about this, and then I'd love to open it up. The last thing I'll say is when Sid talked about levels, I realized often he did it as a way of understanding himself and other people better. And how he would do it, he'd say, well, when people are at a low level of understanding or a low level of consciousness, it means they're caught up in their thinking, don't know it, blame the world for it, and act on it. That's a low level of consciousness. And he said, they're doing the best they can. Listen to this. They're doing the best they can given their level. They couldn't do better at that level. As their level comes up, any of us naturally and automatically do better. We feel better. We're kinder. We're more patient. We're less judgmental. So Sid would say, you come up, you have love and understanding. At lower levels, you lose your good feelings and you have confusion and upset, even despair. You come back up again, and naturally and automatically, you have more love and understanding. That's how he talks about it in The Missing Link. I was looking through in the chapter of consciousness, he talks about levels of, he often when he talked about consciousness, he'd talk about levels because it's a way of having compassion for ourselves. Oh man, did I get caught up? Oh, no wonder I was struggling. No wonder I didn't do so well. No wonder I made a fool of myself. No wonder. And it helps you have more understanding, more compassion. I'd see my wife drop into a low state and she'd open her mouth and she'd be more critical, more judgmental. And I used to take it personally. And the more I understood, the more I realized she's doing the best she can at that point. It's not even personal. Anybody who's caught up in a low state, if they open their mouth, is going to come out with judgment toward themselves, towards others, toward life, toward the world. You come up to a higher level, you open your mouth, and you're kinder and gentler and more compassionate, more caring, more loving. Isn't that just forgiving to think people who are caught up are doing the best they can? Now, that doesn't mean you forgive their crazy behavior that causes havoc, but you can forgive the person. In a sense, what that meant for me is I can let go of my judgments about the person because if I hold on to those judgments, I'm caught up in judgmental thought. Who suffers? I do. Forgiveness is about letting go of thoughts so that you can become resilient again and come back up and then look at the world with more love and understanding. It's that simple. I hope all my yammering here didn't make it seem more complicated to you. I'm trying to make it simple. I'm doing the best I can here, folks, but uh, let's open it up and are you hearing anything that's helpful? Um, if it's made something more complicated for you, ask me about it, please. So let's see, what are you hearing?
Hi, Dicken. It's Anna.
Oh, yes. Hi, Anna.
Thank you so much. I know you're speaking to all of us, but it feels so good to me to, feel like it's a little session for me. The thing that stuck with me was the blizzard mind. Because
Mm,
the snow globe is like, oh yeah, I don't mind to have snow floating around. What about the blizzard when I'm like blinded and I don't know which way
yes,
up and I'm like, that's the blizzard.
yes,
But the blizzard is still snow. It's
yes,
it still settles. I've seen it in real life.
yes.
The one thing, the other thing you say is about, I lost it now. But the grace, the part about grace, the
Mm,
part now I am at the level where I'm not spilling over people.
yeah, beautiful.
So I could say there is some grace, but I still feel shame that I am so, worked up inside.
Yeah. Uh, we're going to have weather as human beings, so you don't have to be ashamed of a snowstorm. Nature isn't ashamed of its weather.
And the other thing about
If you're
letting
not acting on it, you're sane.
Okay. Well, yes, I know, but it's like it feels disproportionate. But anyway, the other thing is like,
It's disproportionate in your thinking, not
yes,
not in reality.
this is the other thing about the snow globe. This is the other thing. Because I am in a bit of a blizzard state. I came here thinking, oh, I know Deacon. So he will do. He will help me settle. And you did. I became present. I'm not saying you did it,
Yeah.
but I became present. And then I
Yes.
realized I became present for, I know time, the real presence is timeless. But it felt like I became present for a few moments. But I was still feeling the feelings of the
Yeah.
thinking that I thought a few
Yeah.
moments
You
before.
will. Yeah.
So what happens is if I don't let myself go deeper into presence, it's like I keep, and then I will go out back to thinking about stuff, and you will be just noise. So it was like my snow globe. It was settling, and then it will get shaken a bit again. And then it was settling, it was shaking a bit again. So I was in and out of being present with what
Mm.
you were saying,
Yeah.
all through
That's
the
being
call.
human. That's being human.
Uh, yeah,
I
and I'm
just, even if 10,000 times during the day you realize you're caught up and you gently just come back to the present and go about your day, you can be enormously grateful that you know where to look.
yeah.
Enormously grateful. You get two people in a low mood. One's caught up in thought, it seems true, and they're tending to act on it. Another person is having the same blizzard mind. They're caught up in thought, but they know they're caught up.
Mm,
Both people feel horrible, but the one who knows they're caught up is sane and doesn't act on it. The one who doesn't know thinks it's true, thinks it's who they are, and they act on it, and they suffer terribly. So you can be in a low state, and Sid would say, bring your understanding with you into a low state, and it protects you.
mm, mm,
It protects you. I, I, I used to get upset and act on it with my kids as a parent. Then I would get upset, and I started going, oh, I'm caught up. It's not a good time to parent. And I wouldn't. And that was a way of being loving, and I'm still caught up, but I'm waking up to it. I'm bringing more understanding with me. I'm becoming more understanding, more compassionate.
Mm.
Thanks.
That's
Thanks. Bernie, hi, good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Dicken. Thank you for this. Yeah, I'm glad Anna re-emphasized about Blizzard because that feels so much more than just a snow-filled
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
I, I I was curious about when you talk about levels of consciousness, is that the same as low mood, high mood? Is there some difference between those?
They're the same until you conceptualize it, and then concepts can be very different. When I become present, I fall out of concepts. I don't even care about high or low. I'm just present.
Hmm.
I don't judge it, just present. Judgments come in, they just flow through. I don't care. I don't pay attention to them. I don't think they're true. That's understanding. Consciousness doesn't go up and down. Our experience goes up and down, and this is just a good way of understanding that that's normal.
Okay.
That you can gain greater understanding about how that works. You become more resilient.
Yeah.
Or Sid would simplify it and he'd say, stop thinking about the principles, go and enjoy your life. And if at some point you're not enjoying yourself, if you know you're just caught up in thought, it'll bring you back to the now. And before you know it, you're just back to enjoying life again. That's how little kids live their lives.
Yeah.
They keep coming back to the present and keep playing.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks,
The
Brent.
other thing, the
Oh,
other thing was when you said, if you talked about those two people, if one of them knows that they're caught up in their thinking,
yeah.
you know, then they won't act out on it. I would say there's been times when I've forgotten that I know. So even,
Yeah. Me
that
too.
happens. Okay, good. It's not just me. Phew.
We
Oh,
said, we said, Sid, why is it that even after we've had this understanding, at times we get caught up and then we get a little sharp or whatever? You know what he said? It surprised me. He said, oh, getting lost is the most natural thing in the world.
mm,
He said, we're born spiritual beings. Listen to how he answered. I love this. We're spiritual beings born into a physical body. We open our eyes and we see objects, things, and the intellect is geared to start thinking about or conceptualizing about anything we focus on. That's how we get lost. We get caught up in thinking about things, right? And so he said, if you caught up in thinking about things, when you become present, you're not focusing on and thinking about any one thing. You're just open. And when our mind is open, our intellect will quiet down. It'll stop. It only gets really active when we focus on something. So some people focus on what they're thinking and think about it, and they think more about what they're thinking. I did for a long time when I learned the principles. Or they'll focus on what they're feeling. That's an object. When we're present, I'm not focused. It's just like there's the light, here's my hand, here's the chair I'm in, here's the feeling of sitting on the chair, here's the sound of my voice. It's just wide open. So our mind is open. We're caught up, closed-minded. We're blocking the light of wisdom from shining through. innocently. But that happens to all of us. And as you start to realize how this works, you become a little more resilient, or it gets a little easier, or you don't judge yourself so much for being down, or you stop judging other people for being down. You start living with more compassion. There's no end to that. That's the beauty of this is I see more about this. It's gotten simpler this year than it was last year, honestly. I didn't think it could get any simpler, and oh my God, I was still thinking a lot about the principles, still complicating it.
Thanks, Dicken.
You're welcome, Bernie. Is it Timmy?
Yes, it is.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. And I'm very grateful to be here. I actually have a question for you, Dicken.
Yes.
You have just said that we were spiritual beings, and we were born into a physical mind, and we have this gray matter, the brain, and I have my intellect. If it gets me into trouble all the time, why do I have it? What would be the right use of it, the good use?
Good. Yes.
You know,
Good question.
I'm good at stuff that my brain can do, but if it always gets me in trouble, like why have it then?
Because it doesn't always get you into trouble. It's a tool. It's like a computer is a tool. We can use a computer wisely and it's helpful, or we can use it unwisely. You give a computer to someone who's never used one, they have no idea what they're doing, so they don't use the tool very wisely. Now, I'm leaving for the airport tomorrow to fly across the United States. My intellect is very helpful. Thank God I have it, because it can store information. So I can go, okay, if my flight is at noon, I want to get there an hour and a half before. It usually takes an hour and a half to get to the airport, but I'll be leaving on a weekday morning. There's going to be tons more traffic. I better leave maybe even an extra hour earlier. Oh man, I'm going to have to leave by 7 o'clock. That's helpful. It stores information, so when I get into a car, I don't have to relearn how to drive every time I get in, because I have that information available to me when I drive. That's helpful. I watch my little grandkids. The very moment my grandson sitting on my lap, just learning about words and what they mean, one of the very first words that he saw reference something in the world was the word bird. And he'd be very active, literally just starting to run around. And he would sit on my lap for like half an hour looking out the window. And every time he saw a bird, he'd go, without an intellect, we wouldn't be able to have language. Language uses concepts. That's a good use. I can talk to you. You can hear the words and know I'm trying to point you towards something. That's using the intellect wisely. The instant we use our brain in a way that's not helpful, it creates tension, stress, or upset. You can't get wisdom or common sense out of a computer. You can get information. It's fun to Google. I love to Google. You get all kinds of cool information. But I'll never get love or wisdom from a computer. So when I'm having difficulty, I want love and understanding. I don't want information. So as soon as we feel tension, it means, okay, close your laptop. Step away from your computer. It's called being present. We're back to simplicity. Our feelings let us know.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hey, Dicken, we'll just do a little time check. We have 2 more hands up. Is that okay for you? Marcella and Emily?
And Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I'll stick around, and if you need to leave, we're just going for an hour. But if people can stick around, that's fine. Marcella, hi.
Hi, Dicken, and hi, everyone. My heartfelt greetings to all of you. And it's so beautiful to see you again. And thank you for that sharing. And what really stuck with me was that remark that if we can just bring this understanding with us when we get caught up, down there, that's what protects us. So
Yeah,
that was really something, and actually something I wanted to mention. What has been happening to me when I I get caught up, I can see myself getting a little caught up, and I can even see myself react in an old way. But the moment something comes out of my mouth, I can already see it, what happened. And the beauty is that I usually remain calm inside as opposed how it used to be. So that's a huge progress to me inside of me, and I'm really grateful for that. But it didn't happen like this as I would have wished before. I have to be patient to wait till it comes until I know. So
yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense, but that's what I just wanted to share. So thank you for all.
Well, no, it does make sense. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Dicken. And
Oh, you're welcome. Emily, hi.
Hello. I was just trying to get back so that I wouldn't be distracting with my camera, but this has been so special and wonderful. And I have a question because I am very happy that my children are growing and being more independent. And I have a habit of worrying. And I've listened to some of your older talks about worry, and I figured maybe you could help me today.
Sure.
Because my daughter, I'm just going to be able to sit still now. Sorry for that. Albie, come in. My daughter just got her driver's license. So she's a brand new driver, and she's a very safe, excellent driver. And my son, who's 13, just got an electric bike. And I find those terrifying when I see those on the road. And he's wearing a helmet, and he's promised to do everything safely and be very smart about it. But I can't seem to stop myself from checking their location on my phone and wondering when they're coming home and getting worried about it. And I've been trying to, in a sense, reason with myself, which I know is not going to help, but I can't help it. I'm like, nothing I can do, right? I got to let go. And yet, until they come through the door, I notice I'm not breathing all the way. Once they walk in, I breathe deeper. So part of me is able to let go a little, but not all the way. And so I know that I'm still caught up to some extent, even though I'm able to get a little bit more peace of mind. I'm not thinking about it the whole time they're out. But I thought, well, maybe Dicken can help.
Yeah. Well, you said you understand a little, but you still get caught up. So now you have a choice. You can give yourself a hard time for getting caught up, or you can be grateful for the little bit of understanding you do have.
Mm.
And Sid would say if you want to shift to higher levels of understanding, gratitude is one of the most direct ways. So what if you get caught up? Just say, well, I'm getting caught up now. At some point, I hope I hear something that helps me not think it's helpful to live in this kind of thinking, that there's a deeper intelligence that can take care of this if I'm not worrying. The difference between worrying and caring. And if my wisdom will tell me if it's helpful to check on their location, it doesn't have to come from worry. That's why it's called wisdom. So as your understanding deepens, you just don't give yourself a hard time when you get caught up. It's like, well, I'm open to seeing something new about this, but in the meantime, I'm not going to beat myself up for it. That's bringing more understanding into a lower state. Is that helpful, Emily?
Very much so. Thanks so
You
much.
look a lot more relaxed.
Well, I also felt bad about turning my screen on while I was trying to get where it wouldn't be distracting. So thank you. And thank you for this wonderful talk.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Great to
I
see
wish
you.
you well with that. I was such a worrier, and even after I learned this, would be times I'd get consumed by it. But I became a little more understanding about it, and it's just being grateful for what I was able to see always brought me right back to being grateful for what I know. Yeah. Hi, Jennifer.
Hello, Dicken. How are you?
Good.
So, what I heard you saying is that I'm complicating it too much, bringing the principles all in and trying to get this understanding of all of it. And I know there's no how to, but I'm still going to ask. How do I settle into it instead of because I'm complicating it. Trying to.
You're already a master at being present because you do it all the time. No one can tell you how to do being present. No one. If someone says, how do you open your hand? I go, well, you open it. They say, well, how? I say, I don't know how you do.
Right. And I get there's no how to.
If you're riding a bike and you tip over this way and you come back to center, somebody says, how do you do that? Wisdom knows how. So when I'm present, wisdom knows how to do what I'm trying to do.
So stop thinking. And I realize what you said.
I don't know. I turn that into a way of being hard on myself. I say, Dicken, it's just thought. Stop thinking. Be present. Drop it. It's just thought. Drop it.
Yes, I do that.
So I'm thinking about my thinking. I'm thinking about what to do. I'm thinking about, and as your understanding deepens, you just have more trust that wisdom knows how to do everything we're trying to do, and it does it perfectly. Look at little kids. When little kids are present, they don't have to think about this. It just happens. It's not, the intellect can never figure out what wisdom knows. You can't figure out the how to. It's not its purpose. The intellect can store information, it can store memory, it can bring those things to mind when they're helpful. Beautiful. But it can't guide us. It's a computer. Can't guide us.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good to see you again. Okay, folks, it's been delightful. It's been a wonderful way for me to spend time today with all of you, and hopefully this was helpful to you, and hopefully it simplified some things. Just keep it simple, present, caught up, thought away. Well-being is natural. Wisdom knows how to take care of stuff. When we're present right away, we have greater access to common sense. Trust it. Keep it simple.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dicken. And before we sign off, I'd like to tell you about the next webinar, which will be in 2 weeks. And we'll have Dicken back in 2 weeks with, I think so, with Natasha. At least that's in the schedule. If that's not the case,
Far out.
well, that if that's not the case, we'll
No,
we'll
I forgot that was another 3PGC webinar. I thought it was just another webinar.
well, check your schedule, check your emails, check the webpage, but that's what I had in my calendar. So feel free, everyone, to unmute yourself, say thanks, and
Bye-bye.
bye to everyone.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Dicken.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
Dicken.
Good to see you,
Thank
Dicken.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Thank you, Dicken.
That's why we call it wisdom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't
Bye.
take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dicken.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.